Good afternoon,
We
everybody.
now only have 4 audience because two left.
Satin, I hope you had a wonderful lunch. Lots of food for thought, lots of networking. That's what we like to see. And I hope you're enjoying the first fabulous day of FII 2023, proudly hosted here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as we continue to look at
Don't keep looking.
the new compass, to reframe where we currently are, the opportunities on the landscape, and look at how companies and investors recalibrate their strategies. Where is the smart money going to be placed in 2024? The people with all the answers, the key sectors, the trends, they're going to make you a fortune, so listen up. I'm very delighted to have the creme de la creme of global VCs on my panel here, leaders in venture capital. Let me introduce them to you. We have Mingpo Chai, the founder and chairman, CEO of Cathay Capital. A very warm welcome. Bienvenue.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Nisa Leung, the managing partner of Qiming Venture Partners. Thank you very much for being here too. And completing the lineup, GV Ravishankar, the managing partner of Peak 15. Lovely to see you. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Firstly, how are you enjoying FII? GV?
It's good. This is my second time at FII. Am I audible?
Yes.
You are.
Okay, second time at FII, so the energy is electric as always. So it's been fun, meeting a lot of old and new friends.
Absolutely. Nisa, old and new friends.
It's amazing. I mean, we're in the dome and, and everything, all the decorations and all the speakers. This is a great program and great event.
Mingpo.
As we say in French, c'est magique.
C'est magique.
I feel the young generation entrepreneur spirit. Wow, I love it.
So let's get down to business. Venture capital has seen pretty dramatic shifts in 2023, not least in the IPO market. We've had flat and down rounds. It's been pretty turbulent, and the macro front continues to be a turbulent picture. Geopolitics also add that into the mix, and it's a complicated place to traverse. So let me come to you first, Mingpo. How would you describe in retrospect the year that was and the one that's ahead of us?
I think, of course, I'm a bit agitated to say we got a great year. We never returned such amount of money to our LPs. We never raised such amount of money because we just raised our 1 billion fund in Europe. In
1
France.
billion euros.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think this is reflect the fundamental thing about our business. We, as investors, why? We are here to contribute, to build the solutions, and we have to go to the end of the problems. So we have to face the problem. And the tech, in certain way, I used to say tech is a bit too slow. To resolve a problem, to contribute for the corporates as top line, you have to be able as a true solution. And in this regards, scaling up is key. So actually, Cathay today, with our 1 billion fund in France, clearly we affirm in France. We become a scale-up fund. We want to help all these tech companies and get much more colors and go to the end of their objective. Not just enjoy tech.
Yeah.
Tech is not solution. Tech apply and implement well become solution.
I love it. We're going to come on to tech. We're going to do a deep dive in AI, of course, too. But for those unfamiliar, I'm sure there'll be very few, but tell us a bit more about what you do.
Oh, what I do?
Yes,
Okay, sorry,
you've given us a sneak preview.
Okay. So actually, I'm a bit unconventional. I'm Chinese, but I went to France 35 years ago. And after being worked for corporate, selling a tombstone in every small village in France, I built a Cathay 2007. I grew Cathay from 0 to 7 billion US dollar fund. We become a main player in France. We supported 300 companies over 17 years. Today, geopolitical situation say we have to split off, break into different parts. I used to say we don't build the bridges because bridges are visible. You can break now, but if you go to heart-to-heart relationship, the sincerity, authenticity, as you dig a tunnels, you build a true relationship. And actually, the tech company, startup company need this global setting to go to the end of the problem. So actually, I don't recognize the frontier. I say, if I'm a bird, I fly very high. Look at now on Earth, where there's lines. Why should I respect kind of frontier? I don't like visa, Even I respect the rules.
Yes. The rising tide lifts all the boats.
Exactly.
Okay. Nisa, welcome again. Tell us a bit more about what you do.
We got started in 2006, and so far we've raised close to 10 billion US.
Yeah.
We just closed a $3.5 billion fund, and part in tech and part in healthcare. It's about 70% healthcare now for our new fund. So we've invested 540 companies so far, and about 210 in healthcare. So, we generally, 65% of our first money in is seed round or Series A round,
Yeah.
and we continue to up our investment in the company and grow the company. So we've been very fortunate that we've had 42 IPOs since COVID, of which 36 are in healthcare. So, it's great to be here because everybody's talking about how to build sustainability, how to build affordable healthcare, how to build for the future. And the dynamic and the spirit here is phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to talking to more entrepreneurs here and potential partners.
Good to hear. Thank you. GV.
Yeah, so just to introduce ourselves briefly, we are Peak 15 partners. We used to be a part of Sequoia until about 4 months ago. We manage the India, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East region. That's our focus. Over the last, now this is our 18th year. We started early 2006 as well, and we managed roughly $10 billion as well. And we have 450 investments, several of them in tech and tech-oriented sectors mostly. And we invest everything from very early stage, so seed and Series A, all the way up to pre-IPO companies. So that's the spread of what we do. We have 4 investments in this region, and hopefully one more that's in conversation, so hopefully 5 soon. And it's exciting because I moved here in early 2021, and it's been 2.5 years, and I've seen some of the the exuberance and the growth in the region of the ecosystem. So super excited to be here and be a part of that journey.
Ideas to IPOs. That's what we like to see. Talk to me about the year that was. How was it for you?
Yeah, so this year, so to understand this year, we need to first understand 2021. Like a mad year, it was like a feast, between founders having significant need for capital and a great ambition, and investors having a lot of FOMO to not miss out, and so being very active. 2022 was a reset year of sorts, right? So sometime in November of 2021, the first signs of the slowdown was visible in the US with the public markets and technology. And then by the time it was April and May, it was very, very clear that things were going to change, right? And so some of our markets, a little bit further away from the US, we feel it, but we feel it with a lag. So typically, a couple of quarters later, you kind of understand things are going on. So 2022 was a year when most of us were telling our portfolio companies saying, hey, the party's over, let's get our act together, conserve your cash, extend your runway. That advice was uniformly given by most investors to their portfolio companies. What that has meant is there is not a lot of companies coming back to the markets to fundraise. So you've seen a slow 2023, definitely the first half. We thought the markets were improving. US had a tech rebound in the first half of the year, so we thought maybe the markets have seen the worst. But given all the geopolitical situation, etc., we're starting to see a little bit more cautiousness around the table. So overall, it'll be a slow year. But I'd like to tell my team saying, hey, we were very active in 2021. This is the year we should be active. So we are very open for business. We are hunting actively, talking to founders to see if we can create new opportunities for us to become shareholders.
And we'll go into the sectors and the key trends for 2024 in a moment, but what would you highlight at this stage? What are you particularly interested by?
2024? Yeah, look, I think it'll be the year when the profitable companies will come out accelerating out of this particular downturn and taking a lead over people that have not changed the trajectory and cut the burn and all of that. So the way when capital comes back, capital is going to come back and become available for profitable companies first. So I do think 2024 will be a year when some of these profitable companies will start seeing a lot of traction. We are also, most of what we do is in India and Southeast Asia. Our IPO markets are somewhat open, but will get more open next year once our elections are done. So there's a lot of expectation that the exit ecosystem, momentum will be back next year as well. So that's something to look forward to.
Certainly. Nisa, talk to me about the year that you've had and also the landscape for VC in 2024.
Well, it's been interesting in China because after COVID or during COVID, shortly after COVID, 2020, starting from the second half and early 2021, the investment started picking up.
Yeah.
And it became more and more competitive to the extent, I remember there was a fund that basically invested in 20 healthcare companies within a month. And without a lot of the companies, they didn't do due diligence. And a lot of times people, would send money, or they will even skip the term sheet. But in the last year and a half, things have slowed down a lot because of the public market and adjustment and so forth. So right now, we're seeing that the U.S. and China VC investment has dropped 70% year on year.
Yeah.
And so if it's not for AI, probably it would be even more. So I think 2024, people are still investing a lot in AI in the various areas. For us in healthcare, I believe that what GV talked about is the same thing for us as well. For the last 2 years, we've been so focused on working with our portfolio companies, cutting costs, making sure that they can get to break even, as soon as possible within the next year or so. Let the run rate go as long as possible, so that we don't really need to depend on IPO. I think we've been very lucky to have 8 IPOs this year, but still, with the entire market and with everything going on in the world, it's just going to be, it's not very reliable. So we might as well be able to continue to fund ourselves. And so in 2024, I believe that there will be more investment into the various sectors, in tech and biotech and so forth. But at the same time, I do think that there are good companies, solid companies with good milestones. They'll be able to go IPO for sure.
When it comes to the runway, how long are we talking about? How far does it need to extend? Are we into 2025, halfway through, even beyond? I mean, how much capital do they really need to shore up in these markets?
I think that it depends on the company, but if they have good milestones, if they're really, coming up with some creative, really innovative global technology, there would be lots of potential investors coming in, and we've seen that.
Yeah.
So probably 12 to 24 months. But at the same time, I think it is most important to use the dollar, especially since it's so hard to get credit.
Yeah.
I think, well, let me put it this way. It's very hard to get credit in US, but it's increasingly easier to get credit in China. And the cost of capital in general is much higher. So every dollar counts. And I think that, if they could, every dollar be able to achieve certain milestone where the investors, outside investors, would feel, okay, this is what we're looking for, to either go IPO or the next round and whatnot. That's what we're telling our companies to do.
In terms of what you would be telling companies to do, if they are to be recession-proof to any degree, to really be able to be resilient, agile, withstand the recession, then what do they need to have? And it's not just ultimate cash reserves, is it, and a long runway? It's got to be more than that.
Yes, maybe I can back to 2017, what I do with the French big corporates, and I come to your question. At the time with Total Energy, Air Liquide, we start to say, okay, what could be the solution to have a positive impact, green energy, while we can use this open innovation, but open transformation. Open innovation is just staying in the ideas. I do also private equity. So actually, at the time, I start to invent a concept. We say tech buyout.
Yeah.
It's not because you are VC, you identify right tech asset, but you can guide it driven by a solution provider mindset. You build a house, someone bring you a window, you really know exactly which kind of size of window you need. No waiting for just judge if the window is the right one. So from that day, we built a vertical fund, energy fund, Total Energy, CMA, CCM, Air Liquide. And then we go to conjunction of old energy and new energy. And today I can tell you our portfolio company, actually I'm bringing them to this region to be solution provider, gathered together with the different geography, different energy group in this region. For the healthcare with Sanofi,
Yeah.
because with the big mass of population, you have to democratize the healthcare. Yeah. You cannot stay so expensive. So we invest in Okin in France. got together hospital, research, pharma group. And again, from 40 million valuation company startup very early, today Sanofi put 180 million US dollar. And we become a major player in France for the healthcare. So these kind of things is not waiting for have just a contract. With Sanofi, we know what is the pain points of this industry. And we really committed heavily as investor, as industry, as startup, and we guide all them in the right pace, in the right timing, in a carrefour where they are exploring. So 2024, AI, of course, is clearly a tool. So I say AI-driven private equity VC as a tool to build a future leader in the industry. That is what I encourage my team to do so. And when you build a solution, you create the value, making money is, by the way, the exit, you are not relying only for IPO. So many corporates, they have make tons of profit. They can be your exit road.
Well, talk to me about that, because it's putting people before profits, isn't it? It's that triple bottom line that we're all talking about, but you walk the talk. It's different with your company when you are looking to provide solutions and put profit second to people and humanitarian endeavors. This dovetails beautifully with FII.
Yeah, exactly.
It's investing with a conscience.
That is why Hisham Atias, when he asked me to come last year, I said yes, because it's exactly my philosophy. I'm a money maker very young. You know, I started in France when I was 20. I always think when you are useful, people allow you to survive. And when you are useful, you contribute. My starting point is not what I want, it's what I can do for others. And making profit, by the way.
It's nice, though.
Positive impact, yeah.
It's the icing on the cake. Nisa, talk to me about healthcare. Of course, this is a particular area of interest for you. What's exciting?
Yeah, I think, I feel very much in line with what you were saying. In fact, when we invest in healthcare in China, we're really investing in affordable, innovative drugs, innovative healthcare for the world. Especially since we're seeing so many million-dollar drugs, $2-3 million drugs approved in U.S. How can we find ways so that we can be able to provide more innovative for developing countries and beyond? So, for the longest time, we've been investing in oncology, but, about 2-3 years ago, we felt, there's so much money going into cancer, but some of the cancer drugs can really only extend our life for another week. Is it really worth $100-200 million investment? Should we be looking at other areas, or should we be looking at phase 4 clinical real-world evidence so that we can track all these drugs that have approved and how they actually perform in patients? So we've been investing in that. We've also been investing in lots of other areas, such as for food security, right? One of the areas that we've invested in cultured meat and a few other areas. Could we be growing meat in labs, especially since for China, 1/3 of the grains consumed in China are imported, and it's 100% going to cattle feed. So could we be doing something else along that? And so that's something that we've also invested. We've also invested in a lot of areas such as women's health. Nobody has really, we've made so much progress in cancer, but endometriosis, fibroids, and other areas, we haven't gone anywhere in the last 10, 20, 30 years. So, 2 years ago, I had my team look at all the companies in this area, and basically we identify a couple of companies, and there's only one trying to cure endometriosis in China. So we've been working with this entrepreneur. So, there are lots and lots of areas: mental health, neuro, Alzheimer, Parkinson, and a whole lot of other areas. And in fact, liquid biopsy, there's also another area that we really believe in. One of our companies did a 6,000-person clinical trial to identify early stage liver cancer. So they're able to identify 90-some stage 0, stage 1 liver cancer patients. And they were able to, get a surgery done and be done with it. But what's really interesting is, could we be identifying early stage pancreatic? Could we be identifying early stage other areas? So the 5-year survival rate could actually increase a lot higher for cancer. It could be, a chronic disease instead.
Yeah.
So there's so many areas that we're working on, and because we have a a great ecosystem of 210 companies. We have our diagnostic company working on therapeutic. We have our device company working with digital health. So, we have a lot of entrepreneurs brainstorming, and we can do it very, very quickly and very cheaply in China for the world. So it's actually very exciting.
You can do it quickly, you can do it cheaply in China, and you, along with the States, are the biggest innovators when it comes to medical and pharma advancements. So why not collaborate more? What are the hurdles that we need to remove to make that happen? And my second question is about cancer. It tends to be one of the most poignant things to talk about when it comes to healthcare and investment, because everybody's been affected by it in some way. Is it true to say that around 70% of all investment R&D goes into cancer? And do you see that changing if we're not seeing the results as in a cure-all at this stage?
Yes, I think that's 70% is the entire R&D in biotech in the last few years. So we are seeing a decreased amount of investment into cancer, but because cancer is such a big disease, and actually companies can charge a much higher value for the drugs versus, say, for example, diabetes or chronic, cardiovascular and so forth. So there are still a lot of people, a lot of companies focus on cancer and new ways of treating cancer. But I do think that folks are looking at other areas as well at the same time. But in the meantime, your discussion about collaboration global, we are actually seeing more and more multinational interested and coming to China to look at collaboration. In fact, if you're looking at healthcare, the true innovation or the big hubs in the world is US and China. And so, we've seen the MNCs. In fact, the CEO and the chairman of Novo Nordisk, CEO of AstraZeneca, CEO of GSK, Pfizer. I mean, everybody's been in China, Medtronic, in the last few months. And in fact, I think Pfizer's CEO last week mentioned that he really wants to tap into the Chinese science and innovation. So, and this week we're actually hosting the global head of BMS in China and looking at some of our companies and so forth. So the number of innovative drug licensed from China to global has now, this year, exceeded the innovative drug license from global to China. So I, it's very encouraging, and I think I would actually welcome more collaboration. In fact, one of the reasons I'm here is to see how we can collaborate with the Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and maybe we could also be identifying some technology from different parts of the world, UK or Europe or Southeast Asia, and see how to collaborate within China for global. And US, same thing. We have not seen a stop or a slowdown in collaboration between US and China on the private sector in biotech.
Not impacted. It's good to hear. So a call to action, ladies and gentlemen, anybody listening.
Yeah.
In terms of AI, GV, let me come to you and I'll ask you all about AI before we wrap. Is it where tech was in 2021? And do we actually know where the money is to be made? Is it too soon to call, perhaps?
Well, I think it is definitely a hype cycle of sorts today, so the activity levels are insane. So I keep making fun saying every pitch we see, no matter which sector they're from, has something AI in it. So, you can't escape that kind of trend. To be fair, step back last several years, the question that we've always asked as VCs are, what's the next big thing? We have seen the internet, we have seen the mobile, what's the next big wave and, that people are going to ride? And yes, there were promises on AI, but it wasn't really yet something that caught fancy. But just after what happened with ChatGPT and OpenAI, like the whole world kind of got to see what AI can do. And then that really just opened up everything. So now you have this major FOMO where everybody's going towards AI. Now, the truth is, it is one of the biggest waves we will see, and so significant value will get unlocked, and a lot of disruption will happen to traditional sectors that don't really take on the bandwagon. But today, all the money seems to be in infrastructure, in chipsets and so on, because there's so much compute that needs to come along. And the application layers are being built, but the question there is really who has the defensible technology here? Are you going to just build a thin layer on top of OpenAI and other open source models, in which case then the differentiation is not clear. So while there's a lot of activity, there is still a little bit of question mark on where value will eventually get built. To me, the most exciting thing is the stuff that we don't see yet, which is what will AI enable that we are not imagining today. And that will happen too. You know, when Uber happened, we didn't really think we could order taxis on a mobile phone and there would be a new business doing this. And there will be examples of that come up where AI enables things that never existed before. And I'm waiting for those things to happen. I think that's the more exciting piece.
Thank you. Very last 30 seconds to you, Mingpo. Your closing thoughts, your pearl of wisdom for our audience today. You can touch upon tech and AI if you wish.
I think we should not forget, no matter we are investor or entrepreneur or corporates, we are dealing with the same world. Yeah. Okay, AI before, today, and the future is always a tool. So fundamentally, as humankind, we have to world where is the problem, and team up together, and united together to see what we can do. So don't recognize because of geopolitical tension or it is the up and down. That's faithful why we are here and why we are dealing with those problems. So I'm an optimist as a solution provider. I'm for sure next year you will see, or next year, after next year, you will see the world is much more optimistic and nice. Yeah.
What a perfect note to end our conversation on. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking my guests for their contribution today. Thank you, everybody.